picture a rustic wooden table. The lighting is really dim. And sitting there, staring just intensely at a deck of cards, is a Siamese cat playing a very focused game of solitaire.
I mean, it is such a bizarre image.
Right. And the text on the screen just reads, "A few canceled plans. A few more evenings at home. Gradually, you know the cat has more hobbies than you do."
It's honestly chilling.
It really is. And it highlights this bizarre phenomenon that is just sweeping modern society.
Oh, absolutely. We look at that image and we laugh, but it really captures that subtle, almost invisible descent into modern isolation, which is why today we're doing a deep dive into an incredibly insightful and frankly hilarious book by Stan Holden called How Not to Be a Hermit.
Yeah, the mission of this deep dive is to basically figure out how we slowly build these invisible cabins around ourselves, brick by brick, right in the middle of crowded cities and bustling neighborhoods, and more importantly, how to pry the cabin door back open.
Exactly.
And to help us navigate this, we have very special in-studio guests joining us today. Helen Lackluster is a recovering hermit. Helen, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I have to start with the most important diagnostic question we have. How many cats do you have?
4.5.
Wait, I'm sorry, a half.
Yes, the half is Dwayne.
Okay.
He's a stray. He comes around for the premium kibble, but absolutely refuses to sleep inside. He just isn't committed to the hermit lifestyle. He is cute, though. The other 8 cats don't want anything to do with him, but that's why he's half a cat, if you will.
That is incredibly fair. I mean, Dwayne has boundaries, but, thinking about this modern lifestyle, it's easier than ever to become a bit like Helen, to build that invisible cabin for yourself without even realizing you're doing it.
Well, the architecture of modern life almost demands it, right? Like everything is designed to eliminate friction. Human connection is inherently frictionless, or at least we try to make it that way so we don't have to deal with people.
I have a PhD in pretending I'm not home. If you ring my doorbell, there's about a 90% chance I'm lying on the floor waiting for you to leave.
I do want to challenge the underlying premise of the book right out of the gate, though. Like, is being a hermit actually a bad thing? Because I'm thinking of Aristotle here.
Yeah.
He famously said, "Whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god." Some people just thrive in their own company. They don't need a bustling social calendar.
So Holden makes a very clear, really crucial distinction right at the beginning of the text to address that exact philosophical point.
So he does.
Yeah, there is a profound difference between solitude and isolation.
Okay, break that down for me.
So solitude restores your psychological baseline. It sharpens your focus. You retreat to your cabin to rest, process the world, and then you return to society with more energy and clarity.
Right, like a recharge.
Exactly. Isolation, on the other hand, is degenerative. It slowly shrinks your world. The book notes that isolation protects your time, but connection multiplies it.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah, the reality is most of us aren't wild beasts or guides. We're just comfortable being unavailable, and we mistake that numbness for peace.
That distinction changes everything. Solitude is a battery charger, and isolation is just a slow leak, which ties directly into the first major mechanism Holden identifies in the book. He calls it social gravity.
Yeah, social gravity.
Because becoming a modern hermit doesn't look like packing up a truck and moving off the grid to the Alaskan tundra. It's a slow, incredibly comfortable drift toward the couch.
It really is a brilliant way to describe it. It's this heavy, invisible force that makes staying home just slightly easier than putting on shoes and stepping out the door.
The dreaded shoes.
Right. And Holden introduces this mildly scientific, highly suspicious self-assessment called the Hermit Index.
Oh yeah, the symptoms of social gravity are terrifyingly subtle.
They are. You start experiencing a secret, almost euphoric thrill of relief when someone cancels plans on you.
Oh, the canceled plans high. It's a potent chemical rush. You suddenly have a free evening that just didn't exist 5 minutes ago.
Totally intoxicating.
Yeah.
Another symptom is letting your phone ring and just staring at the screen until it goes to voicemail.
Guilty.
Because you feel completely paralyzed by the idea of synchronous conversation. Or, and this is the really deceptive one, convincing yourself that being unavailable is a form of productivity.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, you tell yourself, I'm protecting my peace or I'm setting boundaries. But in reality, you're just avoiding the mild, necessary friction of human interaction.
Helen, you're sitting right here in the studio. You've lived this.
Mm-hmm.
How did the social gravity of your own couch actually pull you in?
Well, the gravity of my couch is a proven scientific phenomenon. It has its own atmosphere and weather patterns. At some point, I realized that not wearing real pants had transitioned from a fun weekend luxury to a strict, non-negotiable personal lifestyle choice. If an event had required denim, I simply ceased to exist for that evening. Denim is a trap. It restricts blood flow and forces you to participate in society.
A lifestyle choice. Denim is a trap. It's funny, but listening to that, the mechanics of it become so clear.
Yeah.
You basically build a recommendation algorithm for your physical life. Like you downvote a coworker's distant cousin's birthday drinks by staying home, and you feel good.
You gain time back.
Exactly. So your brain's algorithm stops showing you birthday parties, then you skip the neighborhood block party, so it filters out neighbors.
Right? Just snowballs.
Eventually, you streamline your life so efficiently that you filter out all serendipity. Your real-life feed is completely empty. You've basically optimized yourself into a ghost.
And that algorithmic filtering is the exact progression Holden warns about. You start by protecting your energy, and you end up in a total vacuum.
Wow.
And what accelerates this process is how seamlessly modern technology accommodates and masks the isolation. You don't have to live in the woods to be hiding anymore.
You can be anywhere.
Right, you can be in a high-rise apartment in Manhattan, surrounded by millions of physical bodies, and still be entirely locked inside your cabin. This is what the book defines as the Wi-Fi hermit.
The Wi-Fi hermit. It's the illusion of being connected just because you have a router.
Precisely. A Wi-Fi hermit is someone who surrounds themselves with people online without ever actually being in the presence of anyone.
Right.
They keep their digital window cracked open just enough to watch everyone else live. They're surviving, very comfortably, but entirely apart from real momentum.
Hold on, I have to push back on this. Stop you right there.
Okay, go for it.
I am constantly on my phone. If I'm leaving comments on a friend's vacation photos or aggressively debating movie plot holes with a stranger on a Reddit forum, my brain is firing on all cylinders.
Sure it is.
I am exchanging ideas with hundreds of people a day. How is that not real momentum? How is that isolation?
Because it's a biological trick. It feels like connection, but your nervous system knows it's an illusion.
Really?
Yeah, Holden synthesizes some fascinating neurobiology here. When you're doom scrolling or arguing in a forum, your brain is firing dopamine. That's the pursuit and reward chemical.
So it feels like I'm doing something social.
Exactly. It feels like you're accomplishing a social task, but
Yeah.
you're getting absolutely zero oxytocin.
Huh.
Oxytocin requires physiological presence. It requires eye contact. It requires hearing a human voice modulate in real time, smelling pheromones, reading micro-expressions.
So the digital interaction is basically just empty calories for the brain.
Worse than empty calories. Without that oxytocin release, your nervous system is burning fuel without ever refueling.
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
It is. It's like revving a car engine in neutral until the radiator blows. That is the root of digital burnout. The book references the U.S. Surgeon General's statement that actual loneliness can be as harmful to your physical health as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
15? That's insane.
It isn't just a metaphor. When you lack in-person interaction, your body remains trapped in a low-grade fight-or-flight state, pumping cortisol, because humans evolved to feel physically unsafe when separated from the tribe.
Because we needed the tribe to survive.
Right. Real social interaction literally lowers your blood pressure. A like on a photo simply does not.
So you're expending massive amounts of social energy online, but getting zero physiological return on investment. Helen, did you ever hit that wall of digital burnout where the illusion just completely broke down?
I hit the wall, going 90 miles an hour. I reached a point where I ghosted my entire neighborhood group chat. A neighbor posted this blurry picture of a stray raccoon eating out of a bird feeder. And I stared at my phone and realized that physically typing the letters LOL felt like entirely too much emotional labor. My cortisol spiked. I just couldn't summon the willpower to pretend I cared about the raccoon's dietary habits. So I put the phone in a kitchen drawer and didn't open it for 3 days.
Too much emotional labor to type 3 letters. I mean, we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a terrifying realization when the most minimal form of human contact feels like lifting a boulder.
My social battery doesn't die. It files a missing persons report and heads for the woods.
So how do you know when you've gone too far down this hermit hole? Like,
Yeah.
how do you distinguish between taking a quiet, restorative weekend and actively moving into the woods?
You have to look for the extremely subtle indicators.
Hmm.
And the book illustrates this beautifully by highlighting the work of a very specific organization.
Yes, the National Association for Recovering Hermits, or NARH.
Right. NARH is doing vital, vital work in our communities. We cannot stress this enough.
Completely serious work. The solitaire playing cat we mentioned at the very beginning of this deep dive, that is an actual NARH public service announcement.
Yep.
And the diagnostic progression they lay out is just haunting. A few canceled plans, a few more evenings at home. Gradually, the cat has more hobbies than you do.
It's a brilliant diagnostic metric because animals are excellent barometers for our social stagnation.
They really are.
They operate on instinct and routine. When your routine becomes so limited that a house cat seems socially dynamic by comparison, you are in trouble.
I was looking at my dog the other day. I was rewatching the exact same sitcom for the 5th time, and he let out this incredibly heavy, judgmental sigh.
He was judging you.
And I wondered, is this a NARH intervention? Like, is my golden retriever actively disappointed in my lack of personal growth?
They absolutely are.
Dwayne was my NARH intervention. He would sit on the windowsill and look at me in my sweatpants at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday and just narrow his eyes. Oh, he actively judged my lack of momentum. And I realized that a half-feral street cat who refused to commit to living inside had a more dynamic daily itinerary than I did. That was the moment I realized I had to step outside, if only to prove Dwayne wrong.
That is a harsh reality check. Spite is a highly underrated motivator to leave the house. So we've diagnosed the problem. We understand the biological and psychological trap of the modern hermit. What's the cure?
Right.
How do we actually open the cabin door once the deadbolts have been thrown?
Well, this is where Holden's book elevates from a sociological study into something truly special. It's not a preachy self-help manual with a 10-step program.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's a collection of weird, funny, deeply human stories that remind your nervous system why the outside world, with all its messy friction, is actually worth visiting.
It's wildly entertaining. To do these stories justice without spoiling the entire book, we're going to tease them using a fast-paced movie trailer approach.
Yeah.
Because these stories are cinematic.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
In a world where staying home feels like the only safe option, one cat will document his roommate's descent into madness. Prepare for Carl the cat's judgmental journals.
This section of the book is incredible. Carl the cat is secretly keeping a daily diary about his owner, whom he refers to as the bearded one.
Naturally.
It chronicles the man's slow slide away from civilization and the loss of his social mechanics, the breaking point in Carl's journal. The bearded one adopts a rock.
A rock.
A damp, potato-shaped rock that he names Gideon.
He brings it inside and talks to it. He told the cats that the rock has, quote, good energy.
And the introduction of the rock completely traumatizes the feline household. Marmalade the cat sleeps behind the stove for a week.
Poor Marmalade.
Beans refuses to make eye contact with Gideon, and Tiny Larry, another cat, actually hisses at the rock and refuses to enter the kitchen.
Hissing at a rock.
The journal entries escalate until the bearded one is outside in the yard, playing the harmonica for the moon for an hour straight, while Tiny Larry sits on the porch and claps. It's a hilarious, slightly terrifying look at how isolation amplifies our eccentricities when there's no social friction to keep us grounded.
It's the echo chamber of isolation. Okay, next up in our trailer of cures, get ready for the ride of your life. It's Uncle Larry's driving lesson.
Oh, this story explores the absolute necessity of chaos. Holden's Uncle Larry was this larger-than-life, entirely unpredictable character who drove a massive green station wagon, essentially a land battleship.
A boat on wheels.
Exactly. The family is staying at a remote cabin, retreating into grief and isolation, and they've been fishing.
And by fishing, we mean they have completely ignored all state and federal legal limits. They get cornered by a game warden at their vehicle because they have 90 trout in their coolers.
90.
The tension is palpable. And Larry, without missing a single beat, rattles off 7 random names of people supposedly back at the cabin waiting to eat, plus his 2 small dogs, to mathematically justify the catch limit to the warden.
The warden, either completely baffled or just exhausted by the sheer audacity, lets them off with a warning.
Unbelievable. And the second the warden's taillights disappear, Larry tosses the keys to the author, who is a teenager and barely knows how to operate a vehicle, and says, "Your turn to drive the battleship."
The kid gets behind the wheel, completely panicked, immediately throws it in reverse, and carves an 8-foot trough of mangled metal down the side of a parked car.
And Uncle Larry's response.
Yeah.
He just looks out the window, completely calm, and says, "Watch your limits. You still had 4 inches on the other side."
That is amazing.
It's laugh out loud funny, but the underlying mechanism of the story is profound. Larry recognized that the family was retreating into a psychological cabin of grief. They were optimizing for silence.
Right.
So he forced them into the unpredictable chaos of life. He forced them to keep moving, to break the law of social gravity, and to push their limits.
You absolutely need a chaotic friend like Uncle Larry.
You really do.
Left to my own devices, I will optimize my environment for total silence and zero friction. You need that one person who refuses to respect your artificial boundaries in the best way possible. The friend who drags you into a station wagon, makes you carve up a parked car, and then forces you to eat trout for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 solid weeks just to hide the evidence of your crimes. That is true, restorative friendship.
It is the biological opposite of the Wi-Fi hermit. It's all friction, all oxytocin, and massive amounts of trout.
You know you're a hermit when hearing someone knock on your door feels less like a visitor and more like a plot twist.
Which brings us to our final trailer tease. A shift in tone. Prepare yourself for George the neighbor.
George. When the author was a child, there was an old man next door named George. To the neighborhood, George was a terrifying recluse.
The classic scary neighbor.
The kids were convinced he had booby traps in his yard. He was the classic scary neighborhood hermit who never spoke to anyone.
But one day, out of nowhere, there's a book sitting on the author's porch. It's an old, worn book about George Washington. Inside is a handwritten note from George the neighbor explaining that the book was special to him and he wanted the young boy to have it.
It completely shatters the narrative the neighborhood had built around him.
It really does. And it exposes the mechanics of how we judge isolation. We build up these intense narratives about people who withdraw. We assume they want to be left alone or that they're inherently mean or dangerous.
Right.
But examining the psychology behind it, maybe the scariest hermits in our neighborhoods or in our office buildings are just people who forgot the mechanical steps of how to say hello.
That's a powerful thought.
The longer you go without using the muscle of social interaction, the heavier the door gets. George wasn't hostile. He was just trapped. And he was reaching out the only way he knew how, by quietly leaving a piece of himself on a porch.
It illustrates that the human drive to connect doesn't actually disappear when we isolate. It just gets buried under the weight of social gravity, waiting for a safe invitation to emerge.
Yeah.
The cabin is highly controlled and safe. The outside world is messy and unpredictable, but that mess is the friction required to keep us biologically and emotionally alive.
We've covered so much ground today. We've explored the gravitational pull of the couch, the biological illusion of the Wi-Fi hermit, cats playing solitaire, Gideon the rock, and chaotic uncles with 90 trout. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It's time to assess your own social gravity.
It is. We want you to take action on this material. Go to hermittest.com and take the free Hermit Index test. Be brutally honest with yourself about your score and your habits.
And then pick up a copy of Stan Holden's book, How Not to Be a Hermit. Let the humor and the humanity in those pages be the wedge that finally helps you pry your cabin door open.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one final concept from the source material that we need to touch on. Holden discusses the shopping cart theory toward the end of the book.
Oh, I love this theory.
The idea that returning a shopping cart to the corral in a parking lot is the ultimate litmus test for self-governance. You get no reward for doing it and no punishment for leaving it. It's just a small, voluntary act of participating in the social contract.
And if we take that theory and extrapolate it to the physics of social momentum, it reveals something deeply provocative about how we cure isolation.
How so?
Well, we tend to think that breaking out of the hermit lifestyle requires a massive expenditure of energy, that you have to host a dinner party or join a crowded club or become the loudest person in a room.
Which sounds exhausting.
Right. But the nervous system doesn't require grand performance to break the fight or flight loop of loneliness. It only requires a spark of genuine friction.
A spark of friction.
Think about the butterfly effect of acknowledging someone else's existence.
Yeah.
Returning a shopping cart for someone, holding a door, or simply making eye contact and offering a genuine smile to the barista.
Just tiny micro moments.
In that micro moment, you are proving to your primitive brain that the outside world is not a threat, but a shared space. What if the cure to your inner hermit isn't found in a massive social overhaul? What if the cure is simply treating social interaction like a muscle of serendipity? You do one tiny, almost invisible good deed out in the wild. You create one microscopic ripple. And in doing so, you remind your own nervous system how to say hello.
The next time you feel the urge to retreat into your invisible cabin, remember, you don't have to tear the walls down all at once. You just have to unlock the door and step onto the porch.
Perfectly said.
Thanks for with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.
It's too bad Dwayne isn't here. He would have absolutely loved this floral arrangement.